Alright guys, so I basically decided since we are in spooky season, I thought it'd be kind of fun to do since the polls over on the last fanfiction idea was on Universal Monsters. I decided that for the next few polls for fanfiction ideas that it's all going to be centered around like, something crossing over the Universal Monsters. And each winner is going to be excluded from the next one. The poll's just going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. The first one was Indiana Jones and the Mummy, and as you can see, this is our next winner of that little going of the polls. I don't know if I'll like either A, just stop after doing the maybe I won't do the loser, or maybe the loser will just be done second. I don't know. Whatever happens, happens. Anyway. So yeah, as always, if you guys like to be part of polls that affect videos here on YouTube as well as over there on Patreon, just hit the link below. Head on over to my Patreon, you guys in the link below. You guys can hit the first. I can do numbers first tier, and that'll give you access to all the polls as well as the movie reviews whenever I see a movie and put it on there. Those are. But anyway, so let's get started. Man, this shirt is wrinkled AF. Damn. Anyway. So professional on this channel. Anyway, so let's get started with the video. So as you can see, this is the winner of the last poll, of this recent poll. And that is, as you can see, Predator versus the Wolfman. So a Wolfman-Predator crossover. So let's get started with the story. So this story begins after the events of Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. Yeah, this is not the remake 2010 Wolfman. This is in the classic universe, just like with the classic Emotep in the Indiana Jones one. So in this story, this is set after, like I said, after Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. And if you guys don't remember the ending to that movie, both the monster and the Wolfman were swept away by a huge dam, and during their fight. So this is set right after that, and Larry Talbot has woken up on the banks of the after the dam had broke. He doesn't know where the monster went, but all he knows is that he is still alive and still wishes to be, he's still a werewolf. He's still cursed by the lycanthropy. So he doesn't know what to do. He is unsure of what to be done. But the next thing he decides to do is, I'm going to go find my father. Like, I need to, in my whole time when I was trying to find a way to die again, I never thought to go see my father. He was basically the guy who killed me. He's probably, filled with so much grief that he, he's probably just insane, either gone insane or just wallowing in depression, So Larry goes to go search for his father. He pretends to be, someone else, and he sees that the house has long been empty. And some passerby he meets, he is like, "Excuse me, what happened to the house of Talbot?" And they're like, "Oh, the father, left. Sir John Talbot long has since left. After his son was killed by an animal, he was so stricken with grief and sorrow that now he had lost both of his sons. Sir John had left the village and was now living in Scotland. He was out living in he moved to Scotland and left his home behind. So Larry is like, well, that's where I need to go. So he travels to Scotland. But as he's making the journey to Scotland and avoiding, taking back roads and trying to stay out of the spotlight and also keeping his werewolf self from killing anyone, as he's making that journey, there's someone else who's making a journey, and that is a Yautja spaceship which has come through and is now left a predator, and he's shot off and has landed on the moors. The first thing the predator when the predator lands, the first thing it encounters are some wolves, which were still around roughly in Scotland. So a pack of wolves encounter the predator, and he proceeds to just kill all of them and take the skulls, latch on, and take that skull as a trophy, and from there the predator begins its hunt. Meanwhile, John has finally arrived in Scotland, and he's hoping that maybe not only will his father be able, he'll be able to reunite with his father, but he'll also be able, because his father was a man of science, maybe he would have a way to cure the lycanthropy. So maybe they could find a way to cure the lycanthropy together, and so on. So after finding Sir John's new home, Larry has got, like, he says he's like he's basically like, I got 3 days till the next full moon cycle of the full moon, and we got 3 days to figure this out. So he goes to see Sir John, and Sir John is like taken aback in just total shock that his son has come, who was a werewolf, has come back from the dead. He is in total shock and terror at the sight of his own son coming back from the dead after killing him. And it almost puts him into total hysterics, because he thinks he's just lost his mind. He is just at this point like thinking, oh my god, my dead son has come back to haunt me. What in God's name have I done to earn this madness? But Larry's like, no, you have to. So he explains everything that happened in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. He's like, you came back from the dead because of moonlight touching your corpse, and then you went to look for a man named Frankenstein and fought his monster? What? Okay, but there is a moment of like, I'm just happy to have my son come back to me. So they have to, he basically says, Dad, I have 3 days until the next full moon, and I turn into a werewolf. So we gotta find a way to cure me before then. And it turns out that Sir John, not only was he a man of science, but after his encounter with his son, his werewolf son, he actually started to embrace the occult. So he's been mixing the occult with magic and trying, and studying about it and trying to mix the two in a form of like alchemy. Back with the Predator, that's not going good for everyone in a local nearby village, because now some hunters have gone missing on the moors. Some hunters had gone missing, and they were found, when their bodies were finally found, they were found with no skin, and their heads were missing, and their weapons taken. So when this comes back and Sir John hears about it, he's like, Larry, did you do this? And he's like, no, the werewolf would have ripped them apart. Like, he wouldn't, like, take the skin. He would have eaten, it would have been more mangled. This was, like... And John's like, yeah, I agree. It does sound like something, if it was you in your werewolf form, you would have ripped them apart. But this was done, like, almost surgically. And he's like, and John goes, like a hunter, So, there's some... They think it's some madman. But the people in the village are like, it's some monster, some great monster like the Beast of Exmoor, stalking the moors. So the police are looking around and the Predator is actually like hiding in the moors, hunting down any animal. He even encounters a bear and kills it. Encountering like shepherds, killing them. People are just dying left and right in the hunt. Meanwhile, Larry and John are trying to figure out how to cure Larry through a mixture of an old spell. They basically, Sir John believes that he's found like a perfect tool. Like he's found like the perfect thing, but he's missing an ingredient. Fortunately, it's in nearby. For this ingredient, he needs a mixture of a special breed of lycanthropy that actually grows in Scotland. It was one of the reasons why he moved here to Scotland, was to find it, but he's never been able to locate it. So John and Larry go off to search the moors, even though they know there's a madman about. So they go out and they find the plant they need for this experiment. However, the Predator finds them as well. The Predator actually attacks them because John was carrying a gun on him, and as well as the cane, and even Larry's like, John's like, I'm sorry, son. I always bring this cane with me wherever I go. And he's like, yeah, hard to forget that. It knocked me in the head. Just making a sad joke. So the Predator attacks them Sir John whacks it in the head, and that's what he's like, it's a monster. So the Predator actually kills Larry's father right in front of him. It just rips his just head clean off, holding the skull up and taking the cane as another trophy before disappearing. So now Larry's like, fuck this cure. I am going to make sure that that I kill that monster. So he basically sets up like a series of traps because his family came from a line of hunters themselves. So before the night of the full moon, he like makes up special traps around the house and more or less just dares the Predator to come to the house of Talbot. So the Predator comes and he just gets hit with traps left and right, from spring traps to fire-based traps, until eventually he gets led down into the basement of the building where John is waiting. I mean, not John, where Larry is waiting for him. And then when the moonlight, the Predator's got his wrist blade out. He's got the plasma caster aimed at at Larry. Keep trying to say John. At Larry. But then the sun goes down, moon comes up, Larry turns into the Wolfman, and the two fight. So throughout the building, Larry and the Wolfman and Predator just continue to just hammer away at each other. The Predator uses his weaponry, but since it's not silver, it's actually not. It's hurting him, but it's not killing the Wolfman. Like the Predator hits him with the plasma bolt, strikes him in the chest. The Wolfman gets up, his fur's all singed, but he's like healing from it. The Predator also uses his razor disc and tries to cut it, decapitate him. Wolfman catches in his teeth like a frisbee and crushes it. And now the Predator's like, I don't care what it takes. I am taking this trophy. Well, as the fight continues throughout the manor, the villagers have heard quite a ruckus. So they arrive as an armed mob, thinking that the killer who has killed Sir John has come for Larry. It has come for he's been saying it's not Larry. It's more like his quote-unquote nephew. So they come for aid, and what they see are just in the shadows these two monsters fighting it out, and they're like, monsters in the mansion! They've killed Sir John and his nephew! Again, that's the alibi they're going with. So they're like, what do we do? Burn it! Burn the manor down! So they're just throwing their torches into it. The place is coming apart in flames, and the Predator and the Wolfman are still keeping up their fight. The Wolfman is picking up the Predator and just throwing him through like a support beam. The Predator decloaks, but since there's fire, it's hard, it lets him be visible. Plus, there's so much heat around, there's so much fire around, it's messing with his thermal imaging, so the Predator has to take his mask off. And that's right when the Wolfman just comes running in and slashes at the Predator's face, tearing out one of his eyes. The two just continue to beat the hell out of each other. The Predator impales the Wolfman to the ground with his gaffy staff, with his spear, and is about to decapitate him when the Wolfman pulls himself through the staff and just grabs the Predator bites into the Predator's neck and just rips out a chunk of his throat. And as the Predator's gagging and trying to use his self-destruct mechanism, Wolfman grabs his arm, rips it off, and then proceeds to just maul him. Just absolutely maul him as the building comes down. But the Predator dies. The Wolfman lets out one long victorious howl as the building comes down. And yeah, the villagers the monsters are dead. The house of Talbot has been avenged. But come morning, Larry's still alive, and now he has no father, no name, no anything. So now he's just left to wander as a vagrant, Bruce Banner style from then on. But the whole time he's thinking, what the hell was that? What did I encounter? And it's actually during that time, Larry encounters the other Predators who recover his body and are here, take this staff. And they hand it to him, and he's I don't know what to do with this. And the Predator's bye. You're honorable now. Bye. So there you go, guys. That is the Wolfman versus Predator. I'd like to thank everyone who for voting on this over on Patreon. Like I said, if you'd like to join in here, like I said, the next few fanfiction ideas are all going to be Universal Monsters centric. So we've still got a few more Universal Monsters. The Mummy and Wolfman have won, but we still got like Creature, Dracula, Frankenstein, Invisible Man, and I've even added, because I'm not adding Hunchback of Notre Dame because I never really thought of him as a Universal monster, even if Universal Studios themselves see him as such. I did instead add Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So like I said, if you guys would like to be part of the polls, just hit the link below, head on over there, hit the first tier, you'll be able to vote there too. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. Once again, thanks for voting for everyone who did over on Patreon. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.